My name's Jason Batten, family farmer here in East Yuna. We farm 10,000 hectares and it's a mixed farming enterprise. Our main crop is wheat. We also crop canola, lupins, a little bit of vetch and play around with a few legumes like that there. We have perennial pastures as well. So along with cropping, we also run livestock as well. We run a Dorper stud out here. So where the farm is located, we are actually the last farm on the northeastern fringe of the, West Australian wheat belt. Because we are the northeastern fringe, we at the tail end of all the cold fronts, but we do get a lot of summer rainfall being surrounded by bush, which has meant that we sort of progressed into some perennial pastures and more sort of native grasses, playing around with them as another feed source to make ourselves more drought resilient, which we've had a lot of success with that, and a lot of that's just happened naturally in terms of the native grasses. Since the droughts of 06 and 07 is really changing our farming system to let some of these native grasses establish. So changing our focus onto what's good cropping land and what is not so good cropping land. Some of the sandplain around here, because we don't get the rainfall, it tends to dry out a lot, is really risky for us. That's where the livestock come in. We have changed that farming system to really look at concentrating the cropping onto the loams, the better, heavier soil types, and some of the weaker sands we now are like establishing perennials, trying different legumes, and really focusing on our sheep enterprise on those soil types. But with us, because our growing season is so short, our traditional break is sort of late May, and that's quite normal. We generally will have dry Junes, then pick up something in July and August. So what that means is, in a normal system, we would be spraying out come August. So it means we've got to feed, a green feed for 3 months really. To be productive with the sheep enterprise, we really had to change something there. So now on those soil types, we leave them, let the perennials and all the weeds and whatever grow. It doesn't matter what it is really. And then we're able to just graze that sort of year round, and seems to be working quite well at the moment. So the yellow sandplain around here can be quite fragile, and that is one of the reasons that we first looked at perennials, was trying to establish a plant onto the sandhills to hold that area together. Now as well, we do confined feeding if we have to get stock off those vulnerable sort of areas to let them recover, especially with perennials, and that it is a management thing with that system. So we still use confined feeding to get those animals off the paddock and give it a rest. So we generally try and keep 200 odd tonne of lupins on hand, a lot of hay, and we also bale a bit of straw for those hard times. It might just be a dry month or two that we tend to have in the marginal areas, and you need a feed source to get you through there if you need to get the paddocks a spell. Within our cropping enterprise, we utilise whatever tools available to maximise every dollar that we put in the ground. We have been involved with precision ag for probably 15 years or so. That means in variable rate. What we essentially do is look at a paddock, look at the different soil types, the different yield potential of these soil types of that paddock, and then we break that down and we make up prescription maps, which we then load into our seeder, and we're able to adjust our seeding rate, our fertiliser rates accordingly to what we feel's best fit for that soil type or that paddock. Take this year for example, with a very good start, April rain, which is quite unusual. We're able to then change our rates of what we would have, say, on a drier year, whereas we'll actually put a lot of product down, a lot of fertiliser, like higher rates underneath the seed, because we feel that we've got a good start to the season. If it was like no summer rain and we were going into a dry seeding, then we would cut fertiliser rates back, probably lift our seeding rates on different areas, and then sort of play the season a bit more, take the risk out of it, because we're already looking at a risky season due to having no moisture in the ground. So that's been something that's been worked really well for us, and over the years we've gained a lot of productivity out of those different soil types in just treating them the right way. We try and also use soil moisture probes, weather stations, any other sort of technology that comes our way that we can look at the moisture. I guess moisture is our biggest factor. We're always sort of assessing that when making decisions. So any sort of technology like that comes along, we give it a go and see how we can use it. Virtual fencing, those sorts of things would be massive for us. The technology within treating water supplements and that as well. And I guess that comes with feed supplements, all those sorts of things that can enhance your animals' productivity in dry sort of times. More accurate weather forecasting is crucial because it's something we rely heavily on because it helps us out with fertiliser decisions as well. Really, the next 3 months gives us a good idea on how we're going to manage our fertiliser and chemical programs. Because at the moment that is so expensive that every decision we make is really crucial. So the way government can help really is continuing research into wheat breeding, all the traditional sort of breeding, canola, to make it more drought tolerant, I guess, some of those species. The long coleoptile stuff that's been researched, that's been done, is a massive bonus to the industry. Diversity is the key to any farming business in low rainfall. Along with the commercial and the stud side of things, although that keeps us very busy, it means that there's a cash flow throughout the year so that you actually feel like you're always getting somewhere, that bills are getting paid and that you're not just racking up more and more debt. Investment in mental health as well is really important because a lot of the time we sort of get down on ourselves because of the isolation, I guess, now with declining population within our communities. It's sometimes you get the feeling of that it's all the loads on that few people that are left, like doing stuff within the community. And that can get you down at times just because you feel like you're the only one doing it. And that's, where I go back to mental health. It's, it's not the traditional mental health. It's more so the fact of just like telling people that, it's okay, you're going to get through it. There's support there. The future of farming here in, I guess, the northeastern wheat belt, I feel is making us more sustainable. We're able to run the livestock enterprise now successfully, and the cropping program has become a lot more productive. And it's sort of more of a looking at the land, I guess, in terms of what can I grow on there, what can be productive, but what can hold that together. And what I find that exciting about that is looking at that whole, like our whole farm differently to what I have before, because now I'm looking at it in terms of how am I going to split up, refence these paddocks differently. Where am I going to put in new water pipes, water points, tanks, those sorts of things to try and make it easier to manage. Well, it's going to be a big job for us. There is some excitement there in terms of looking at the whole system differently.